Ooh, wonder what that was. I'd like to bring the council meeting for January 5th to order. If you'll please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace, Lord God, as we make decisions that might affect our staff, employees, and residents of Mount Healthy, and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish is for the pursuit of truth and for the greater glory of you and for the service of humanity. We ask these things in your name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, you guys are mumbling. I'm going to speak up. Okay, we have a new council member that we need to swear in. I'd like everybody to welcome Cindy Sheets. Cindy, why don't you stand up, Cindy? Put you on the spot.
There you go.
That's right.
Cindy is a Mount Healthy resident of 22 years. She's, for, was it 5 years you taught elementary school early on? She's been a Marine for 4 years. She's been on a school board out in Illinois. So she's got quite a bit of experience in doing different things. So I'd like you to welcome Cindy, and the mayor is going to swear her in.
Absolutely.
Family's coming up the steps, so let's wait just a moment.
Yeah. You're fine. I'll wait.
Want to stand up by him so he can be on TV? No? Okay. Good. All right.
Okay, so raise your right hand. And awesome. Put your hand on your Bible.
Awesome.
Raise your right hand. And repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Cindy Sheets,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold and support
that I will uphold and support
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
and the ordinances
and the ordinances
of the City of Mount Healthy,
of the City of Mount Healthy,
and that I will faithfully perform
and I will faithfully perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
to which I have been appointed.
to which I have been appointed.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Cindy, and welcome. You want to get some pictures?
For sure. You can stand back
Do you
up if
want me
like.
to take them for you so you can stand with her?
Yeah, please.
No problem.
You go ahead and do the thing. Do you know how you want the thing?
I'm gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
Ah.
You don't have to stay for it. That was the part that I wanted you here for.
Now make sure you send her the picture though.
So I do want to say we're happy to have you here.
Thank you.
It's a great appointment. We are losing about half of our online audience though, so I'm a little sad about that.
Those good friends.
That's right. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Okay. Mrs. Lingo?
Here?
Mrs. Moody?
Here.
Mr. Parsons? Mr. Redding? Mrs. Sosa?
I'm sorry, here.
Mrs. Sosa? Mr. George? Ms. Sheets?
Here.
Okay, we are missing 3 people tonight, and everybody, some people are sick and et cetera. Mr. George may be coming in a few minutes, I hope. Anyway, does anybody like to excuse our missing members?
I make a motion to excuse the missing members. Should I name them?
I suppose we should, yes.
Bob Parsons, Joe Redding, and Cordell George.
Okay, do I have a second?
I second.
Ms. Dosa seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. You have before you the minutes from December 15th, 2020. Has anybody seen any corrections that need to be made? Our two correctors are gone now, so.
Right. Two really critical correctors, right?
I do have a question.
Yes.
So when it, down on Ordinance 201928 on the page 3, it says that it's for the ending of December 31st, 2021. So that's expenses for this year and not last year?
Which one is it?
2028, or 1928.
1920, I just wanted to make sure that the end date.
The ending date was 2021, December 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
That's
and
That
correct.
was,
but
so we,
it's
so
for
we
this
have,
year.
every year we have to pass the expenditures and revenues for the next year prior to the end of the current year that we were in, or we have to pass an ordinance extending into that. So that's what
Okay.
we've done.
I just wanted to double check that it wasn't something we had to
A
do that
typo,
for
and
the
it should have
end
been
of the year.
2020, right?
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
On page 3, under Resolution 20-1155, is that correct project PID, or is that project bid?
No, the PID is a identification number, is it?
Okay,
Yeah, I believe so.
okay,
Yep.
good, all right. Oh, okay, great.
Anybody else have anything? Would someone like to make a motion to adopt as printed?
I make a motion to adopt the city council meeting notes for December 15th, 2020.
Okay, Ms. Dosa's made a
is.
motion to adopt as printed, December 15th. Second? You go by Ms., right?
Yes. I
Okay,
do.
Ms. Sheets? You'll have to excuse me as I struggle with a
That's all
new
right.
name. I can't get old what's-her-name over here by,
And he's still trying to figure out Mr. Bauer over there sometimes.
and I completely skipped the finance director. Goodbye, Ms. Sheets. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Correspondence. I do not have any correspondence. There was a few things in your packet, but that's not really correspondence. Does anybody have any correspondence to bring to council? Okay. Guest and special events. None. Public input. Do we have anybody who wants to?
I'll ask here. So far, none, Ross. If anything
Okay.
comes up, I'll,
Yeah, let us know if something comes up. We'll
Okay.
bring them in. Well, then we'll move to the mayor's report. Mr. Wolf.
Yeah, just a couple things. Schools are slated to fully open on January 18th. That's the beginning of second semester. I do say scheduled because this is the third attempt to open. So we'll see how that goes with numbers, et cetera. But currently, they are scheduled to open on January 18th. And that, two reasons it's then. One of them is it's beginning of second semester, so it's a clean start. And they're also, since they're attempting to open fully, it's going to take shifting of schedules to do that, so it just makes sense. Secondly, to be honest with you, it gives some time to see if there's even more rise after the holidays. So we'll see how it goes, but do just want to put it on your radar. I actually have students that are unaware of it, so that's part of the reason I wanted to say that, in case people do watch this, they will hear that it's opening. I mean, letters have been mailed home, there've been phone calls, but there's always people that miss that information. The other thing is, and you all, I'm sure you got them already, the financial disclosure statements from the Ethics Commission were emailed out. If you get them by mail, they should be coming soon, and you will need to do one as well.
I didn't get one, but.
Yeah, so, because they wouldn't know that yet. So Mel, is that something you're able?
I can, yeah, because I already sent in, so yeah, I'll email them to see,
Okay.
to update for Cindy.
Okay, great. I was gonna say I can send a link if I need to, but.
Okay.
Perfect. Just want to remind people of that. And that does apply because I know that we do have elections in 2021 as well. And there may be some people, choosing not to run and new candidates running. Those new candidates have to fill one out as well. So you all, not all of you, most of you know that. Just want to remind you because there is a pretty stiff penalty if you don't do that. And then, what was the one other thing I wanted to say? I did just want to talk about that. So with 2021 being elections, partisan candidates, the Democrats and Republicans do have to have petitions in February 3rd. So I just want to remind everybody of that if you're planning to run for reelection, just to make sure everybody's able to get that in. So,
It'd be hard to do during a pandemic,
yeah, it is.
It's gonna be very hard.
Yeah.
knocking on doors and.
So just want to let you know that, and anyone running as an independent, it's not due until later. So those of you that are up for reelection, just want to remind everybody. So we have a full council next year. And that's it. Oh, I did want to say one more thing. I'm sorry. And I'm not going to say too much about this, but there has been a little bit of social media kerfuffle about us enforcing the COVID restrictions at local businesses. It did make local news, and then one of the business owners has gotten on social media and claimed that we're targeting certain businesses. I do just want everyone to be comfortable in knowing that our police are monitoring all of the businesses in that way. In fact, the individual making these complaints is claiming that certain businesses are being targeted, not others. The ones she claims are not being targeted, I've actually met with the owners of two of them because they had complaints about the way we were handling it. So I promise you, Chief Damasi is enforcing this thoroughly with all of our businesses. I just want to make sure everyone understands there's not discrimination. It's something I've been checking on. It's something I've been aware of from the beginning, and I don't want to say any more details right now because investigations are going through, and just want to make sure we're covering. But I do just want everyone to be confident and know that our police right now are enforcing the COVID restrictions. And even aside from COVID, we know that Damasi has the police doing walkthroughs of all of our liquor establishments. He does that regularly, the walkthrough every night. So that is something we always do, whether we're in a pandemic or not. And all of the businesses all of the bars are affected by that. So I just want to let you know that we are consistent in that. That is something that I have been aware of since I've been mayor, and Bill and the chief do a great job keeping me apprised of that. So we are constantly communicating about it, and I do just want to assure people it's being done fairly and consistently, and any discrepancies are investigated and we follow through.
Thank you, Mayor.
No problem.
Jamie, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Two questions. One, about the schools. You said they're opening up on the 18th?
Yes, it's a Monday.
So they're not observing Martin Luther King Day?
I'm sorry. The 19th.
Okay.
Yes,
I was just
correct.
checking.
We are all for Martin Luther King Day. Correct.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome.
Question two about
Yeah.
that. Well, I don't know how closely we work with the school, but is there some sign that we could put out as like today's plan? We're planning to open the schools for student attendance or something like that for the 19th of January. Because the question is, I have no children in school. So people say to me, are we stopping at the red lights? Is this a school day? Those kind of things. So I think a lot of people are in the same boat as, what rules are we following? Is it a real school
Yeah.
day?
That's a great question. Now, and Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is as long as we're in this pandemic, we are considering it not school days.
Right, yeah.
So we
I
are
don't
not
know.
enforcing.
Right. It's just too confusing as to
Well-
who's at home, who's not, that. So, yes.
Jenny
that was,
The
has.
charter school is open.
Okay.
That's why I am not doing the turn on red, because I didn't know whether they were forcing it or not, because the charter school is open.
Which charter school is that,
The
Jenny?
one on the
Healthy
corner of
Prep.
Compton and Harrison.
The mathematics.
I've been by that, and I haven't turned on red either, because I didn't want to take the chance.
I
but
know, because they're in
I
session.
haven't seen any students, so
Yeah, I have seen, they're out at recess, and
Right.
they take gym outside and everything,
Okay.
so.
I welcome the discussion and, bounce off Bill, bounce it off myself, we can bounce.
Unless
it-
they've closed down and we don't know, but.
Yeah, and that's
'Cause-
part of, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all.
I kind of, oh,
I
sorry.
think we wanted to err on not criminalizing
Right.
our drivers right now when when it
Absolutely.
is unclear,
Sure.
which causes a safety concern. It does. So I do ask that people be safe. Right now, the policy is we are not enforcing the turn on red during school days.
And is that North College Hill also? I mean, so that's by,
By city.
wonderful.
That's,
I know that's the only way it can be, but
which is partially, again, why we're not enforcing that. I do understand concerns that we should if schools are in. So, like I said, I'll welcome discussion on that. It's a tough balance.
thank you.
Yeah, the group up at Assumption is back in as of Monday.
Okay.
So there are some,
Starts.
the Head Start, yeah.
Okay.
There are some groups that are in school.
Yeah.
Sorry, my second question, I didn't get a chance to ask that, was you said something about, going back to what you said about the businesses
Yes.
and the police going in. What has been put into place in terms of consequences for the businesses not adhering to?
So, and again, you stop me, Bill, if I say something incorrect. Our police have been, what they've been doing is instead of doing the enforcement themselves, they file a complaint with
Board of Health?
Liquor Board or Board of Health,
well, both.
or both.
Yeah.
And then let that agency go
Okay.
through with the enforcement of it. So we notify the other agencies of the violation and then let them come in and do
Okay.
the enforcement.
Right, yeah, typically what we would do, I mean, this typically comes into play with the bars, because most other places are closed by 10 o'clock, is if we're made aware of it, or we see it, or whatever, they'll go in with their body cam on, walk around, and leave. I mean, they're not arresting people, they're not dragging people out, they're not, they just make note of it, they document it, and then they proceed and make the prop notifications from there.
And go ahead.
The event centers that we have popping up, are they under the same restriction?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
good.
Yep. Yeah, again, it's one of those slippery slopes. When we're aware of these things, and if there's a crowd, I mean, we're not gonna go in there and bust it up. I mean, and I'm saying that, and, people will think, but the owners are gonna be notified, and there's gonna be consequences that come from there, so.
And I do want to say that I am very proud. One thing I am very proud of our administration, this was before I was mayor. When I was on council, I was one of the first years when we got those small, like, pocket cameras, the really little ones. I mean, we had body cameras very early on.
First, one of the first
There's a
in
lot of
there.
jurisdictions that still don't, and we still do. And in these cases, it is very nice that Chief DeMasi has been very open in sending all of the records to me. It is all public record if anyone wants to see any of the specific, events. And we do review the body cam footage, and our officers have been turning it on before they go in and before there's any confrontation, and explain what they're doing, and then go in and the whole thing's recorded. So I'm very happy with how professionally it's been handled and how it's all been recorded in case there are questions about the professionalism or the legality of it. So I do want to say that that's being done well, so that when there are complaints and there are investigations, we do have documentation to see if we did it right or wrong. I'm very happy with that, because as we know, across the country, there's issues with body cameras being turned off and body cameras never recording things, and that has not been an issue with us. We do have footage, so
Good.
it makes me happy.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Is there anything else? That's it?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. Moving on then to the city manager's report, Mr. Coker.
Thanks. Couple items on your desk. I'm trying to limit that. I got like 3 reports today, and here, can we give this council? I'm really going to try not to be piling on their desks, at the last minute, but unfortunately, it's going to happen sometimes. But one of the things that we discussed at our last meeting, and there was some corrections made on, and I think Ray sent out a new copy of the parade special events piece, and it still had some a blank left in there on page 8 of what is the charge for these events. And we tried to research, and honestly, there's not out there. Cincinnati has one, which we model a lot of this off of, but the events in Cincinnati are going to be greatly different than what we're trying to do. But working with the chief, we came up with this plan here of the fee schedule, where I think it would, if everybody's in agreement on that page 8 where we have that blank, I think on our final passage, if Melanie could just write in there per the attached, and then that way we can kind of have some flexibility on this. And a small event, we're not. It's not a money grab really. It's just, but as the event gets larger, more complicated, and more things need to be done, that would be good. And then on that same thing, on the application permit, and we'll obviously make this permanent. On page 2 of 2, if you look there where it says review by the city manager, number 2, provides liability insurance in the amount of $5,000 if applicable. See fee schedule, and then that way they can look at that, because if somebody's wanting to do a 20-person event, we understand that they're not going to get a $500,000 liability coverage piece. So those were the final changes. I think it makes it for a good piece for us to be able to direct. I know it was very frustrating for the administration when this summer, when things were really kind of going on, where people were calling, I want to do this, what's the process? We really didn't have it. I think this really gives us a good process. So hopefully you guys will consider that when we go over our resolutions later. Save the Rumpke piece for last because we can discuss that. So I included in your packet a letter from our engineer, just to kind of keep you guys in the loop to understand the whole process of this whole skip process that we go through. We had 2 appeals on their initial findings. And there's a process, so everybody can appeal, they can adjust things. Things are looking pretty good right now for Hamilton Avenue, which was the big one, the nearly over $500,000 that we might be on the hook for. The unfortunate part, if you notice, is that, on the one where, for the Madison Forest project, where such a big factor and such a part of the process with the formula that they use, condition is huge. And when it all settles out, it can be within a point or two. So condition is so big, and we were disappointed to see that, last year the condition was at 20.7 and this year's at 17.5. And, I know we maybe threw some blacktop in there for some potholes, but the conditions shouldn't have gone. So again, they state that very clearly up front, that just because you had this one year doesn't guarantee it the next, and different things go on. But just kind of letting you know, so they're going to consider these, and then they'll reevaluate, and we'll get an idea. Hopefully, we don't Hamilton doesn't get pushed out, because the other 2 projects look like they were below the line potentially. So we'll see. There was also a letter in your packet from the chief that kind of outlined the use of the cops, 2 cops, folks that we're getting on board. Scott's been gracious to do the miserable part of trying to keep the whole federal side of this in line with the funding and how that works. And man, I tell you, that to get into the federal system that they have is just, whew. But we're good. I think we submitted for the first time, and we've got the people on board. And then that letter just I won't read it, you guys can read it, but that just kind of outlines what our intent is. for using those folks, and I thought it was a great plan by the chief, so, yes.
Yeah, I was impressed by it. I was certainly glad as a council person to get this information. Because as a resident, I felt good about what I read with this. And if anybody would ask me, or people would say, in light of when we all got our reevaluations of our houses, and knowing we've got a big fire levy that's going on, and I think we're gonna get some some people are gonna be upset with their tax bills. I think it's nice to be able to have information, and that we as a city are doing a lot to make our community a safe and better community. So I really did appreciate getting this information. I really did.
Great. And just kind of in that, since we're talking about the police, we did the amnesty program. Bob, who's not here tonight, asked me, I think he's watching, I don't know, he hasn't said anything yet, so, yeah, he doesn't get a vote tonight now. There were 41 people that paid, and a total collected was $5,635, so I think it was very successful, and it cleaned up a lot of old, we weren't looking for things that were, recently, that recently occurred. This went back and cleaned up a lot of stuff, so I thought that was a great job. Scott gave all credit to Jeanette and Crawford, who did it, and but I thought we were pleased. But I just wanted to get back with everybody because we had put that through the end of the year. A couple other things before I get to the Rumpke. The Bernard Avenue project is done. I got it back on Monday. I didn't want to add it. I'll get it in the next packet, and we'll look at that. And just so everybody knows that we've probably had over 10 positive cases in the city of COVID. I'm constantly talking with Melanie. We're trying to figure out the best process with this. Nobody's been hospitalized. I believe everybody's been released back. We're just trying to, now that it's really hitting, we're just trying to make sure we have, always the safety precautions have been in there. We have you've seen the plexiglass up. It's just very difficult with, the fire department when in such close quarters and those kinds of things. But everybody's back and doing well, and we're just trying to, I think what we're trying to do is, how do we notify people when this is occurring, just so that people are aware that, that it's not, and then how do we get the people back, Our plan right now is to anytime, and like I said, I've been through it as well, the health department in the county that you live in will give you a letter that tells you that you were positive and how long you should quarantine, and that gives kind of that release date. And so that's what we're asking for the people. People have asked, well, aren't you going to make them show that they have a negative test? No, because first of all, you can't get tested if you don't have symptoms, right? So some of those things can be nearly impossible. I know there's some of the free ones around, but sometimes those results take 2 or 3 weeks to get back. So, we're looking at what the health department's outlining, and even then, the employees will tell us, and then eventually we'll get that in their file just so that we'll have it. So anyway, it is definitely hitting a lot of different places. Yeah.
Have we been notified, or do we know with our fire department, EMS, and police, if they're in line for a vaccine, or have?
No, that's a good question. Actually, they're not only in line, the fire was already got their first dose.
Okay.
And I believe there were some extras. Yesterday.
Police got some.
The police got some, and so yes, it is definitely.
Do they have to go somewhere to get the shot?
Actually, our paramedics can do it. We're doing
Really?
it on
'Cause
site.
I've heard them saying with federal guidelines, I think, like nursing homes, they were saying that the nurses in the nursing homes can't give them, that
Oh, really?
they have to be given by personnel from the pharmacies and that, so I didn't understand, but that's great. I just didn't
Yeah.
know whether they had gotten it.
Right.
Good.
It's all coming through the Hamilton County Health Department for
Okay.
us, and that's who Steve has kind of been the point on that. So yeah, that's good. So then the last thing to talk about, and we don't have to make a final decision tonight, because Rumpke wants to know by February 1st. I'd say we got a fair response, through our emails and putting it online. of folks, either keeping it the same, a few people asking for an agreement with the, adding the toter. Really, I think that's where it kind of comes down to, is this first step out. I don't think 76 cents per month is a great savings to go to every other week. If, I believe that, with the garbage, I think we've got to kind of step outside of it and say, hey, we're trying to do what's good for the, common good of the community and blah, blah, blah. So, I believe with the waste toters, we get a lot of complaints of garbage, cans put out without lids, bags being put out, animals getting into them. Is this going to solve all those problems? No, but I think it can definitely help. A person can opt out. I think it'll be very similar to the, they can opt out, but they still got to pay. Because I know there are going to be some people concerned, hey, I don't need this 96, I can't even move it, right? I don't need it in my garage, I don't need it by my house. But it'll be operated like the recycling program, and Rumpke picks them up and they bring them back. So that's just something I think council needs to just kind of consider. I know it's $12 is $12, but if it's broken, it'll be replaced. If a new person moves in and there's not one, Rumpke's going to work with us to get them.
Probably wait 2 weeks, take your garbage out.
What's it? Yeah,
My
right.
2-person household.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I get it. It's not, we checked there, we thought there might be a smaller option. It's not. It's the big one. I don't know if you can take away anything from the opinions. I thought it was good. Ray was able to determine, I think the question was asked, there are 670 according to Rumpke records, but that one location might have 10, I don't know. But they definitely are, they are being used in the community. Was there any other questions or anything else to look into this?
The
Ross?
670 people that have it currently, and they're paying $2.50 per cart,
Per
would
month.
they get a rebate of $1.50 then?
Well, what would happen is that's an agreement they have currently between
Right.
Rumpke and them. That would just go away.
Okay.
They would just terminate that agreement, and then they would.
If they want more than one, though, say they want 3, they would have to pay more than $1.
Yes, they would. They would, and I don't know. And that's a good question. I don't know what the additional cost would
Okay.
be.
Well, I know in my opinion, the recycling, I'd hate to see it go to every other week because I put out more recycling than I do trash. And I fill my recycling bin up 7/8 full.
Right.
Every week. So I would hate to see that happen, but,
Well, that was one of the great, you saw our recycling rates go up. Rumpke, obviously, they're a good business, right? They provide those carts for free because that gives more capacity for people to do it, right?
Right.
The red bins weren't doing it, so, I agree.
Yeah.
I think promoting that, city taking the lead and saying, hey, we want our residents to recycle, do it weekly, here's a container, let's.
and I hate to speak for everybody, I'm not, but the dollar for the big container, I spend 2 days picking up trash up and down the street that blow up against my property. So I'd love to see this containers be put into use by everybody, but, I don't get to vote, so.
The other thing is they threw my trash can away, and when I called them to complain,
Uh-huh.
they're like, oh, and it's like, oh, what, And they would reimburse me up to $15 for a trash can.
Oh, really?
You can't buy a trash
buy
can for
one.
No.
$15.
No.
Yeah.
So, if they're gonna supply one, and we just have to pay $1, I don't have that much trash either, but I just don't drag it to the street.
That's what I like about it. You don't have to do it every week.
Right?
Just don't put anything stinky in there.
Well, no, I wouldn't.
That's true.
Yeah. That's a good question, Ross. I'll follow up on
No,
it.
it's
If it's
just-
$1 for, and it might be, I never looked at that angle, and hopefully that would be the case.
Yeah.
And that would be even a better savings there. So, because we are, guaranteeing them several thousand so, I'll look into that. Any other questions, between now and next meeting, let me know. And I think I just want to get a motion from council to let's do this option, or what we want to do. we'll notify them February 1st. And they want February 1st because if we do go with the containers, they want time to get them out.
Sure.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's a lot of trucks
Yeah.
hauling
yeah.
them around.
Right,
1,000 of
right.
them.
That's all I have tonight.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Coker? Okay. Scott, do you have anything?
You remember?
You know, he came to me earlier today and he says, if I get a chance to give a report, this is.
Do I want him to call on me or not? I don't know. No, if you called him, it's like, I guess I can bring it up if he remembers, so.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it today, the CIC, I'm gonna call a meeting. In the past couple of years, we've typically had them in March or April, so I just kinda wanna get that in people's heads that that's gonna be coming. And also, just with Judy having retired and John having retired, although either of them are welcome to stay on the board if they want, we'll kinda see what people wanna do. I didn't know about Steve, if he was still willing to be on the board as well, just to kinda keep that in mind, that's coming soon.
What does that initial stand for?
Community Improvement Corporation. We meet just once a year, more often if we need to. I think last year we maybe met just once. 2 years ago, we met twice, I think.
Cindy, you can give me a call and I'll kind of, give you a reason why we put this in place back when we bought the drive-in. And it's been a great, it's kind of economic development arm for the city, and I can go over it with you.
Okay,
why it's in
thank
place.
you.
Okay, sure.
That's all I had. Just be on the lookout for the email.
When is this meeting?
Bring your dollar.
Bring,
I
What's
always
that?
forget my dollar.
When is the meeting?
I was thinking in March.
Oh, okay.
I'll shoot an email and just kind of say a couple dates, and
Okay.
we can kind of go back and forth if we need to.
Melanie, call me. Okay, ordinances and resolutions. We have a pack of them to go through. This copy that you sent out of 1931 was on the desk. That's over that numbers on page 8 where you had the blank.
Yes.
Okay. So ordinance number 20-1931. An ordinance establishing Chapter 99, Parades and Special Events within the city's Code of Ordinances regarding permitting and application process for parades and special events. Now, you touched on that difference between
Yeah.
last week's ordinance and this week's.
Right, I think we got most of the corrections that we discussed at the last meeting corrected in this newer version. But again, what I think would be best if, on page 8, section 2, where that blank is that Melanie just adds per the attached fee schedule. And then on the actual application itself, on the back page of that, just add language, provides liability insurance in the amount of $500,000 if applicable, see fee schedule.
Okay. Get that, council? Any questions? Yes.
Has the police chief reviewed this?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
he was a big driver of this,
Well, I
yes.
assume so, but I
Uh-huh.
hate to assume.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay, on page 4, on letter D, I just thought maybe a word was missing on a couple places. Demonstrations are defined below, may be issued, a special event? Okay, I read that wrong. So that's my error. And then I was thinking down further, demonstration is defined. Okay, down towards the end, it says a demonstration under this section is defined a parade or a special event which involves a rally. Seems like a word would be
Maybe
missing.
as a parade?
That's,
Yeah. Section is defined as a parade or special event.
okay, and then on page 7, under permit denial, A. So, it talks about the timing and who has, you know, they have to get a request for an appeal, but it doesn't talk about when city council would respond in writing, the timing. And I didn't know if there was a 7-day, a 30-day, timing, and I thought maybe we should have that in there so that there's some, everybody knows the rules.
Well, I think what this is doing is authorizing the chief or myself to revoke this if they don't meet the following conditions. Right? I mean, that's,
Well, any person aggrieved shall have the right to file a written appeal.
okay, where's that?
On 7,
7.
9906A.
006A.
So if you or the chief deny it, they can appeal it to council, but they must do it within 7 days.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at 9908,
How-
I'm sorry.
That's a good question. How long do we have to hear it? Or council have, I should
So
say.
how long we would have to respond to their,
Well, we have
appeal.
to give 7 days notice, right? For a meeting,
No,
Notice?
24 hours,
or 24 hours?
right. A person aggrieved shall have the right to file a written appeal of the denial of the permit to the city council no later than 7 days. Yeah, I mean, I mean, you know, I guess as I'm looking at this, so if somebody's denied, they have 7 days to write the appeal. I mean, council would hear it at their next hearing. I mean, at their next meeting. You know, maybe unless they ask for a special council meeting at that point. Yeah, but there isn't, I don't know if we get into, I mean, the time, I guess council can hear it that night and they can either act or, you know, I mean, I don't know, we're not putting any kind of timeline on it, so, I mean, I guess council can if they want to.
I mean, from a resident's point of view, I would like a timeline. I mean, I've gone through a bunch of these things with my son, and it's like, okay, you play the game. You got 4 days, you got 3 days, I got this days, I got this days. And if we say it will be presented at the next city council,
Yep.
maybe that's at least.
Yeah, you could put language in there that, you know, the city council, not later than 7 days after the notice of denial. Then you could put in there, city council will hear the appeal at the next scheduled meeting.
Okay.
And have, 30 days, 15 days to respond, or? I don't want to put council on the spot to have to act that night, you know what I mean? And it might take, you know, time to gather whatever the person brings up. I mean,
Depends
and the
on-
reality to all this is that, I mean, you know, is that, you know, they're probably, if they're wanting to schedule this event on the 4th of July, you know, this appeal process is going to
Right.
be difficult for
That's
them
what
to
I was
get their
thinking too,
regard
yeah.
there, anyway, but I don't disagree that there should be an appeals process. I think that, and, you know, so you could say city council will have, will hear the appeal at the next scheduled meeting and have 30 days to respond. Is that reasonable?
So they have to apply 60 days out, minimally.
Right.
But then it takes some time to read it and either grant it or reject it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 'cause we
Then if
read-
it's
Depends on how many
rejected,
other
they have
people
7
are.
days. Why don't we, what, what if we said it would be read at the next council meeting and then, if we did a response no later than 15 days after that, that would give us 2 council meetings and then
Like we
respond
do our
after the second
ordinances,
council
we get
meeting.
2 times to,
So
read stuff.
at the first council meeting after it's appealed, we would hear it and discuss it, and then we could waive the rules and pass it right then, or we could take a second reading and let them know the day after, which would be 15 days after, right?
Yeah. Yep, I mean, the only exception to that would be in the summertime, but again, you could just have a special council meeting. Which is fine. So, yeah,
Just
so,
my
and have
suggestion.
15 days
I mean,
to
I don't know,
to
but I just
respond?
think we should have some timing in there.
Agreed. Very valid point.
So it could be, you could add the language, city council will hear the appeal at the next scheduled meeting and have 15 days to respond.
Does that seem fair to everybody?
And there is a provision in here for if there's something, where did it, I know there is something in there. If there's kind of like an emergency reason to have an event. Where did I see that? We discussed it last meeting. If you can't do 60 days.
Well, I think at the time, we were talking whether 30 or 60 days
Right.
was the, and
I think that was the discretion of the city manager or the chief.
Yes.
They could make that decision to make that.
Where was that? You're right.
On page 6,
That's what I was just
6.
thinking. Page 6.
exemption.
Yeah. That way, if there is something, let's say, I don't know, the high school wins state championship in something, we want to have a parade 2 weeks later,
Yeah.
we can do that.
right,
Yeah.
or there's, it allows it for anything that's
Yes.
outlined in here, right, timelines,
Right.
whatever, yeah.
And last question on the last page of the application, and you may have talked about this last time. It says halfway down, the risk manager, sign and date. Who is that?
Well, no, I think we changed that on the new, didn't we?
Okay, well, who is
The
that?
new, the one that you should have got in your packet, right? Review, the middle, doesn't it say now reviewed by the city manager?
It does.
Yeah.
Mine didn't.
Um,
That might,
Yeah, but right here, it still says risk manager.
oh, okay, sign, yeah. City manager.
It should say city manager.
Well, the one that was on my desk says city manager.
Mhm.
The old one said risk manager.
Right, but to Jamie's point, the signature line just needs to be updated.
Oh.
Okay.
You've answered all my questions, thank you.
Yep.
Very good.
Okay, so the biggest item change on this was the, under 99.06A, the city council will hear the appeal at the next scheduled meeting. Council has 15 days to respond. Is that correct?
Yes, that is language to be added on page 8, where it's, where
Page
there.
7 of 8, yeah.
No, yeah, on page 8 of 8, it's gonna, per the attached fee
For the
schedule.
attached fee schedule, yes.
Page 4, where you added that word
Yeah, and add the word as.
as a parade.
Okay, with those changes, we had the first reading on this at our last meeting. We would have to have a motion to add the changes.
Yes.
I think that you make a motion to adopt as
As changed.
changed.
Has changed? Okay.
And you can do that with just the members that are here? You don't need,
Because it's a
No.
second.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just pulling that up, actually. I was looking
Yeah.
at the charter.
We just
No.
can't, we can't bypass the two reading rule because of.
Right, but this is that we have a
It's our second.
quorum for a meeting, and we can, there's no limitations, to my knowledge, of actions that you can't take besides, like you said, waiving a reading.
Right.
okay.
Any more questions, council? What is your wish?
My glasses would stop fogging up.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 20-1931 with changes we just made.
Okay. Have a motion by Ms. Lingo to adopt the ordinance with the changes made, just mentioned. Yes,
Second it.
you would like to second it? Okay.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Mrs. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons? Mr. Redding? Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Ms. Sheets?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 4-0. That's unusual. Ordinance number 20-1931 is adopted. Okay, the next one is ordinance number 20-1932. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between the city of Mount Healthy and the Fraternal Order of Police, Ohio Labor Council Incorporated, representing a bargaining unit of city employees in the classification of full-time police officer. Had the first reading on this on the 15th of December.
Correct. I hope everybody, I sent it out, I think twice. We had some, mainly, all were just kind of typos or clarification points that we added. Clarified the time where there was military time, but actually put in the, 8 PM to 4 AM. I think all those corrections were made. There was no other substantive changes of the actual ordinance.
I did find one more.
Uh-huh.
It's on page 20. In the red section, full-time officers, MA, pick up off days. Figure it's May.
Full-time officers, Ma?
Ah,
Okay, so you're adding the Y.
yes.
Okay. Any other questions, council? Comments? And what is your wish? I'd ask for a motion to adopt.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 20-1932 with corrections.
Okay. Ms. Moody has made a motion to adopt with corrections. Do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Dosa has seconded. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Mrs. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons? Mr. Redding? Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Ms. Sheets?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 4-0, ordinance 20-1932 is adopted. Ordinance number 20-1933. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between the city of Mount Healthy and the Fraternal Order of Police, Ohio Labor Council Incorporated, representing a bargaining unit of city employees in the classification of part-time police officers. Once again, we had the first reading on the 15th of December. Questions or comments, council? I'd like to ask for a motion to adopt then.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 20-1933.
Ms. Dosa has made a motion to adopt. Second? Ms. Sheets? has seconded. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody.
Aye.
Mr. Parsons, Mr. Redding, Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George, Ms. Sheets.
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 4-0, ordinance 20-1933 is adopted. Next one is ordinance number 20-1934. An ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute an agreement between the city of Mount Healthy and the Fraternal of Police, Ohio Labor Council Incorporated, representing a bargaining unit of city employees in the classification of sergeants. First reading, once again, was on the 15th of December. Questions, comments, corrections? I would ask for a motion to adopt then.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 20-1934.
Ms. Moody has made a motion to adopt. I have a second.
Second.
Ms. Dosa has seconded. Roll call.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons, Mr. Redding, Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George, Ms. Sheets.
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 4-0, ordinance number 20-1934 is adopted. We have a second reading of a resolution. Resolution number 20-1150. A resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into and execute a final contract with the State of Ohio Director of Transportation, which is necessary to complete project PID number 106426 as described below. Bill, you want to touch on this?
Yeah, again, this is just the safe routes to school. This is, like I think I mentioned the last time, this is a good one because they're not wanting any money from us, right? The safe routes to school is 100% funded. Some of our projects, like the traffic signals that we did, we have to pay our 20% up front. But yeah, the main piece on this is the adding the sidewalks on Compton Road, on the north side of Compton Road, where there's none. But it also is going to address some of the crosswalk issues that we have at Adams and Hamilton, and Adams, and Hamilton and Compton.
This is a
So,
good thing. boy.
yeah.
I mean, this is awesome.
Right.
I do just want to add, not only participating with Safe Routes to School, but as Jenny will agree with, this is part of our We Thrive initiative, our long-term plan as well, is to improve walkability and fixing these sidewalk issues, so. And it was outlined in our comprehensive plan as well, so there's.
Just to put it into perspective, you guys remember Mimi, right? Who was before Monica, or wait, no, she was after Monica.
After Monica.
Okay, yeah.
Monica.
She was the one that did the initial grant on this, so, sometimes, but hey, it's 100%, so it's, sometimes you gotta grind it out, but, yeah, it's a good thing.
Okay, council, ask for a motion to adopt.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 20-1155.
Ms. Moody has made a motion to adopt. Do I have a second?
A second.
Ms. Lingo, second.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons, Mr. Redding, Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. George, Ms. Sheets.
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 4-0, resolution 20-1155 is adopted. We have a new ordinance, ordinance number 21-1937. On my agenda, it says 20-1937. It should be 21 though, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. An ordinance let me start over. An ordinance assessing cost of the removal of high grass and weeds and declaring an emergency. My God, we still on these? I'm going to suggest that you would probably want this passed, Bill, so that we can get it down to the,
Right, and just for Cindy, usually, we try to do 2 readings on most everything, but on these, we've already done the work, removed it, and, there is that risk that if we go through the reading process, if the property were to sell, then we didn't get this assessed, then we lose out. So typically, we ask, to waive the reading rule and to pass these, but it's
Okay,
always up to
thank you.
council.
questions, council? I'd like a motion to adopt or suspend the 2 reading rule.
I make a motion to suspend the 2 reading rule on ordinance 20-1937,
21 dash.
21, I'm sorry,
Okay, second?
on my,
Second.
Ms. Dosa is seconded. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lingo? Aye. Mrs. Moody?
aye.
Mr. Parsons? Mr. Redding? Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Ms. Sheets?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 4-0, the 2 reading rule has been suspended. Any other questions or comments, council? Might have a motion to adopt.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance number 21-1937.
Okay, Ms. Dosa has made a motion to adopt. Do I have a second? Ms. Sheets?
Mrs. Lingo? Aye. Mrs. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons? Mr. Redding? Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George? Ms. Sheets?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 4-0, ordinance 21-1937 is adopted. Okay, one last thing, a resolution. Resolution number 21-1156. A resolution requesting the county auditor to make payments of tax pursuant to Ohio Revised Codes 321-34.
So this is one we do every year. Passing this allows us to request our tax levy money early. I don't know that, I know I've never used it. I don't know that we've used it in the past, but it's just an option that we can have if we ever get in a pinch and really need the money. So that's all this is doing. It's just allowing us to request it if we feel the need to.
Right. It doesn't require, that residents don't have to pay early for us to do this. It's there. Of all years, this would probably be the year with the ramping up of the fire department. I know that they're meeting this coming week, not this week, but the next week, doing the interview process. I know Ms. Dosa is on the panel. We've had the certifications, everything, we're ready to go. So it's moving along very well. But we get all those folks on board. I think we'll be okay, but of all years, this might be the year where you say, hey, we don't want to wait until April to get this. It might be good in February just to make sure we keep our cash flow. So, but yeah, that to my knowledge, we've never done it, used it before.
Right.
Then you would request a suspension of the 2 reading rule?
Oh, I guess it'd be convenient, sure. It's not a rush on it,
You're
but
gonna
yeah.
need money, just in case.
Right.
Yeah, we could take 2 readings because we're not going to need it by next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Council,
Fine, we can take first reading.
first reading?
First reading.
That's fine.
All right, first reading then, on Resolution 21-1156. That is all of our legislation. Then we move to old business. Ms. Moody.
I don't know whether this could be under old business or new business, but I know you just mentioned about the fire department and how they're moving along, and I really appreciated the information we got from Chief DeMasi. Would it be possible that council could receive a monthly report? I mean, if there's nothing much to report, and of course, we don't
Right.
want to look at personnel items that can't be publicly reported, but it would kind of be nice, I think, for us to get a report from the chief, fire chief, as to how the process is going, what's happening, just because, as a resident myself, knowing my taxes are really going to go up, it would be nice for me to know, and for other people that would be wanting to know, well, now I'm paying these taxes. When's this gonna happen? How's it going?
Right.
And for us on council, if there are any needs or things that they're finding that is kind of in a stumbling block or anything, do you think that would be possible?
Well, not only is it possible, it's already done, but that was one of the things that came on my desk today that asked to put on your desk tonight, and I said, that, along with Greg's year-end report, Steve had a summary of where we were with everything and the timeline and everything, so, but I just said, I just don't want to keep, I said, I like to let's get it in their packet, get them a chance to read it, and then that way, if they have any questions, they can do it,
no,
so, but no, it's,
absolutely.
I was rude, I started chuckling when you said that, I'm like, if Steve's watching this right now, he's probably gonna be pissed, because he's like, I gave that to you earlier, and I didn't put it on the desk. So
Okay.
yes, he has that, yeah,
Great.
yeah.
There's a year-end report laying up here. Is that from the fire
For
department?
that,
Yeah, I mean, we always get the run reports.
The
and
run
everything,
report.
Which I think are
Yeah.
very interesting, because I like to see,
Yeah.
did we give aid?
Yeah.
right.
They're still kind of harping on some of that in North Cali Chill, if you listen to the. cable.
Are they?
I wish they just get done with that one.
Look at that, we gave more aid than received.
Yeah, well, I know, but it's just kind of funny how that still
Yeah,
is
it is.
going on and on.
And
But
it's what-
anyway, it's kind of nice if we could get just a written.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, he did a good job with it, and it'll be in next packet, for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah, I agree with Jenny, because Chief Demasi is always really good about giving us a rundown of what happens with the police department, and I agree with her. I think it would be important, just as important, to have that for the fire department.
Okay.
Okay, good. Any other old business, council? Yes, Ms. Sheets.
Sorry, what is the building that's being built on Adams Road? Is it a daycare or a
It's going to be preschool and kindergarten.
preschool and kindergarten?
Yes.
Okay.
It's being built by the
By the
school
school district.
district.
Okay.
It's like an early intervention, I think, is what they term it as. The school, they saw a great opportunity for that, to get kids more out of the daycares and into an early learning opportunity.
One of the issues we've run into is our literacy rates
Oh, yeah.
throughout the years, and the easiest way to fix that is at the early ages. And this also, we actually had someone come to council a couple years ago concerned that a lot of the preschools and daycares in our school district weren't getting the STAR requirements, the step-up requirements. So this is, the intention is to get more kids into our preschools within the school district, which will have teachers that have college degrees and a little more formalized education, to kind of ramp up the literacy rates, which should help the school district, those kids and down the road as well.
Right. And it's a good thing for the city, because even though they're tax exempt on their property tax, they're gonna have a lot of higher paid teachers and so forth in there that will pay the income tax here in the city, which is a good thing.
What is the completion date?
I think they're wanting it for the next school year.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's a very aggressive schedule, because I don't think they broke ground till like the 1st of December, but
It's muddy. was
Yeah, I
there
know
walking
that.
around.
We had-
Very.
I mean, on Adams today, and it's muddy.
Very.
Okay, any other old business, council? I didn't even know they had started. I'm glad you brought that up.
I didn't either. I was just gonna say, I hadn't even been over there.
New business. Mayor.
I have something I just want to share. This was an amazing week in athletics for some of Mount Healthy's alumni, and I just want to recognize them on the record and on television. Trayvon Wilburn has been playing special teams for Ohio State all year and played in the Big Sugar Bowl win, and will be playing in the national championship. So that's spectacular. He went to a smaller school and then ended up transferring into Ohio State because he really proved himself on the field and academically. Brian Cook as well transferred. He was at Howard and then transferred to UC, and he ended up starting in the Peach Bowl and really had
a great
the best game of his.
Yeah, he did.
Possibly the best game of all the players at UC. I mean, it was amazing. David Montgomery, who plays for the Chicago Bears, I know you hear about all the time, but he is the only running back in the NFL to finish the season with 1,000 running yards and 400 receiving yards. the only one in the NFL, which is amazing. And then lastly, which is crazy, Kenny Glenn, who's actually on school board now. So he ran track at Mount Healthy, ran track at Miami. He's on school board now. He is actually on the Honduran national team for track and field. His parents are Honduran, so you're allowed to either compete for your citizenry or your parents. And he's qualified for the Honduran national team. He ran in the Central American Games this past weekend, and he actually got a bronze medal in the long jump and got a gold medal in the relay team, the 4x100. It's really fascinating, and I have to brag about this aspect. All 4 of them were honors students, which really says
Even
a
better.
lot. Yeah, all 4 of them were honors students, and I had them all in class, which is great. So I just want to give them all credit where credit's due. And remember, we gave David a key to the city. Joe gave David a key to the city when he earned his Eagle Scout. So these are 4 terrific young men. It's amazing to see them on the national stage, all within 1 week. So just want to give them credit,
That's awesome.
Good,
That's
great,
awesome.
great job for bringing it up.
for sure.
Do we ever write them letters to say, hey, we're proud of you?
Yeah, we should. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Giving David a key to the city.
That
but yeah.
David, yep.
I stay in contact with them personally, but nothing formal, no.
I mean, just some,
Yeah.
we saw you and you're great and we're proud of you or something, just.
Yeah, that would,
Let me think of, yeah.
do a resolution or something
That'd
from
be
the
a good
city.
job for our new councilwoman.
I'll talk to Ray and see what we can do. I agree.
Write it in cursive, that'll help. No.
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
I mean, golly, we tell people when they do it wrong. We need to
That's
tell
right.
them when we
Right.
do it right.
That's exactly right.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And I know at least 2 of them grew up within the city proper. I know Brian and Trayvon did. So not just in the school district, but within our little square mile.
I know the people that I was communicating with and were with during the UC game were really tired of me talking about Cook being from Mount Healthy.
Any other new business, council?
Thank you for the warm welcome.
Well, of course.
Oh, I do. I wanted to let you know that if you would like to know about the We Thrive Committee, or the We Thrive Group in Mount Healthy, we would love for you to be a member of that if you would be interested. So either the mayor or I would forward you, if I had your email, the action plan and what we've been doing. We
Yeah.
usually meet, I guess we'll continue meeting on the 4th Tuesday.
There's an email going around, it just went around today,
Okay,
trying to see if we're still
I
gonna
was
keep
part of
that.
it, but I didn't know if there was anything final said. But anyway,
Yeah.
it wouldn't conflict with our city council meeting. So we're doing Zoom right now. So if you would like to, and even if you just want to visit the meeting and see, but we would love to have you be a part of that. We, try to get as many members in the community as possible. Correct, Mayor?
Matter of fact, as the COVID started, and I'm a walker, and it was like, where's the path? I know several years ago, they came up with the 1 mile, 2 mile, 3
Right.
mile. And we haven't been able to find that.
Well, we've been talking about that and we tried with the action plan, so I think you'd be a good fit.
Hey, Cindy,
I would love that.
Okay, good.
did we set you up yet with a city email?
No,
Okay.
not to my knowledge. no.
Okay, so actually, I'll get Alex to probably, or get you in contact with her, because we want you to get on because everything we should communicate through is on a city email, so it'll be your first initial, last name, mthealthy.org. And then she can, Alex is helpful with some people, I know we still struggle with some, to get you able to access it,
Amazing.
via your phone or your computer at home, so that you can read it, so we'll
Yeah,
get
and
you
then we
connected.
could forward it to your city email.
Right, yeah, we'll get that going.
Thank you.
Anything else, council? I feel eyes boring into me about that email stuff.
You feel attacked there, boss?
Ms. Lingo?
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Ms. Lingo has made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? You want to stay? Ms. Dosa? Got 2 hands up. All those in favor of adjourning the meeting, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.